Hello, friends. Welcome back to my Ash Gregoire Shaman and Nissan car. Good to be with you. In the car with Star is back on this Monday morning. How you guys doing? Good to see you on this Monday. The heat wave is officially over, you guys. For now, anyway. We've had back-to-back heat waves. For those that perhaps aren't from here, haven't lived here in a minute, man, it's been getting hot like crazy. We had a weekend that was over 40 degrees when we factored in the humidity. And look, to each their own. I have no problem with this high heat and humidity. I have no issue with it whatsoever. I'm just a big fan of less layering. I guess it comes down to this question. Are you a sweater guy or are you a shorts and t-shirt guy? My broadcasting partner, Connor McKenna, is more a sweatshirt guy, and that's fine. He doesn't like the high heat and humidity. We had this interesting exchange this morning. I hope you've been tuning into the morning show. Connor McKenna is back, and the show with him and I is going along well. And it's interesting that we have these different perspectives. I love the heat and humidity. I love going out in shorts and a t-shirt. I love going back into my living room where the air is nice and cool and conditioned. People prefer less hostile temperatures outdoors, and going inside, maybe going out in jeans and a sweatshirt is more your thing. I just know myself that I'd much rather deal with it being 42 degrees and hot and humid and sticky, icky, and like walking in a bowl of soup than the harsh equivalent of the same thing that would happen in the winter in February, in the middle of February, where it's minus 28 with the wind chill, and there's 8 pounds of snow on your front walk and in your driveway that you have to go out and shovel. And then you go back inside your house and it's still freezing cold and you're still wearing sweatpants and a sweater and a hoodie and you're under the blankets on the couch. I'm just not a fan of that. I'm just full stop. I think as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to leave Canada. I love Montreal. I love Quebec. I love being a Canadian. I'm a proud Canadian. But I could go for nice warm weather all the time. Now, speaking of being in hot temperatures, I don't think the seat is any hotter for the executives running Hockey Canada. And what a national embarrassment this has turned into. So it's time for Star Story Time. I like to relay some anecdotes, some experiences I've had in my own life, perhaps rubbing elbows with some NHL players in my day-to-day, right? I like to tell some stories of some NHL players that I've played golf with over the years. And without naming names, it was this summer I was playing with a former Montreal Canadian that happened to be in town for Grand Prix weekend. And we were talking about the perks of being a national hockey leaguer. And he was telling me that not only did he have a hard time crossing the border, I don't know, like 6 years ago or whatever it was, but it was kind of recently, pre-COVID, right? Had a hard time kind of crossing the border, and the border guard kind of recognized him, and that's when he said, yeah, I played for the Montreal Canadiens. And right then and there, the border guard, my buddy had him in the palm of his hand at that point, right? And I've always kind of had that kind of memory in the back of my mind. And he would go on to tell me about how when young rookie players were being integrated into the Montreal Canadiens, that this former Canadian player, who's a great teammate, great, he is the ultimate teammate. Maybe you wanted more production out of this guy on the ice, but at the end of it, there is value to what you bring to a hockey club if you are the right spoke in this wheel. And this guy he is the best teammate. He's played on a bunch of teams, and it's unanimous. Everywhere he goes, teammates, coaches, they love this guy because he gets it. He gets what it means to be a teammate. And so as young rookie players on the Montreal Canadiens being kind of taught the ropes, the do's and don'ts of being a Montreal Canadian, this guy, would talk about the perks that come with being an NHL player. And it was along the lines of the only thing you need to do, whether you're cruising at the bar or whether you're in a situation where you can flex. You can splash the pot, so to speak, by dropping the fact that you're an NHL player if you aren't already instantly recognized. And so that was kind of the gist, that my buddy who used to play on the Canadiens would go and tell these rookies, all you have to do here in Montreal, in Canada for that matter, just say who you are and who you play for and that you're an NHLer. And that is pretty much it. And I really think that's what's happened with Hockey Canada. Hockey is in my bones, and chances are it's in your bones too. We have been taught our entire lives, hockey is our game. It's a Canadian game, and we share it with the world. And we're taught that Canadian boys play the game the right way, and that if you had a daughter, you want your daughter to date a Canadian hockey player because these are salt of the earth people, right? This is kind of stuff we've been taught our respective lives, watching Hockey Night in Canada, buying Rock'em Sock'em videos, listening to Don Cherry and Ron MacLean year after year after year. And it's a proud moment, right? It's a proud moment. Canada is a global game, and we are very good. And for a long time, we were the best at playing the game at all levels. NHL, international, didn't matter. We were Canada, we were hockey. It's what we do better than anybody else. But as it turns out, the people that run the sport and some of the people that play the sport aren't necessarily the people you ever want integrating with anybody in your family whatsoever. And I think it creates this protective culture. It protects this you're a hockey player and the results mean more than anything else, and we're going to do everything in our power to protect those results and protect the player, and to hell with anything that gets in the way. And I think that's kind of what's happened here, that it's been so ingrained in our culture that you have cover-ups, that you have Hockey Canada paying out bonuses to executives like we're the Australian national hockey team and we're shocked that we won a hockey game. So let's pay our executives. No, this money didn't go to players. This money didn't go to the guys on the ice. This money went to executives who were paid bonuses for games everybody knew Canada was going to be ultra competitive in or have a cakewalk to a victory. Full stop. And that if you played hockey in our country, in our province, some of your money that went to registering your son or daughter went to the Hockey Canada coffers. And Hockey Canada took some of those monies and used it to pay off victims. And they protected that money. It was never on the books. They didn't want insurance premiums going through the roof. And now, here we are, fast forwarding to Hockey Canada and the World Juniors start on Wednesday. The World Juniors in 10 days will be here and gone. Canada plays Latvia on Wednesday. They got a game against Czechia on Saturday. They're playing 3 games this week. Like, it is going full bore. And you had, on the weekend, Michael Brendamore, who's got 4 months left in his executive role with Hockey Canada. He falls on the sword. With 4 months left in his tenure, this is the guy that falls on the sword. To say I'm disappointed that the house that is Hockey Canada hasn't crumbled to the ground yet is, by my measure, an understatement. I'm absolutely floored that our country and where we prop up Hockey Canada is where it is. And yet Pascal Saint-Onge, who is the Minister of Sport for Canada, talking about the fact that Michael Brendamore was kind of the first domino to fall, and that there's a crack. And through that crack comes light. And this is what has to happen. And this is what has to happen in order for us to rebuild this institution that is Hockey Canada. And I think that's why you see names like Don Cherry or Ron MacLean trending on Twitter. People are upset. Hockey draws emotion out of us proud Canadian hockey fans. And so I'm just, full stop, not a fan at the pace in which this story is evolving. And the cover-ups from Hockey Canada, the cover-ups perhaps from London PD, the cover-ups from Halifax PD are only being unearthed. And the other sad aspect about all of this is, again, how, Rick Westhead in our country on TSN has been the guy on Canada's end, delving into the story, hammering the story, and unearthing nasty development after nasty development. And you have some people who are looking at this like Rick Westhead is on some sort of vendetta tour. That one person in Rick Westhead's replies recently to one of his breaking news tweets was like, "Oh, Rick is the guy that never got picked on a team in high school, or was always the last pick on a high school team." Like, Rick has now gone out of his way, has decided, this is the moment in my professional life that I am going to exact revenge on Billy, who didn't pick me on his dodgeball team in 1979 when I was in grade 8. You know what I mean? Like, what world, what logic, what thought process are we using here to come to these opinions and come to these conclusions? It's baffling. But I think for that person in particular, it falls into my point that I'm trying to make here. Hockey is in our bones, and we are willing, clearly, to look the other way if it means that Canada can win gold in whatever tournament they're playing, and that if you show the world and pull back the curtain and show us how the sausage is made, all of that goes away. Nobody wants that to go away because you're on the gravy train. Full stop. That's where we are, right? And so this story isn't going away anytime soon. You know what's interesting? I saw on the weekend, Nick Suzuki, future captain of the Montreal Canadiens, was talking about the fact that for the first time in his life, he was actually cheering for the Lightning. Why was Nick Suzuki cheering for the Lightning? Because he takes great joy in seeing the Toronto Maple Leafs choke in the playoffs. Now that, my friends, if that ain't captain material, you tell me. Not only was this guy on the draft floor, not only was he on stage when the Canadiens used their first pick to draft Juraj Slafkovsky, Nick Suzuki was there. I really do believe that not only did they give this guy the money to be the captain, they're treating him like a captain. He's behaving like a captain of the Montreal Canadiens, saying all the right things, doing all the right things, involved in the community, charitable endeavors early this summer. And to me, he's checking all the right boxes. It was also cool to see PierreLuc Dubois, you guys, PLD, was at the CF Montreal game on Saturday at Saputo Stadium. Saw him a few times pop up on the screen. And to PierreLuc Dubois, loving life as a Quebec millionaire athlete, doing all the fun things. I really do believe PierreLuc Dubois wants to be a Montreal Canadien. And I do think that if PLD came to Montreal in whatever scenario that brought him here, I think he becomes the best player on the Montreal Canadiens. 28 goals last year, and by all designs, through his very powerful agent, wants to be a Montreal Canadien. But of course, it was fascinating to see a couple of weeks ago had fans talking about who they trade. Would you trade Suzuki for this guy? Would you trade Caulfield for them? Why would you trade anybody, let alone somebody with significant, a blue chipper like Caulfield, a blue chipper like Suzuki, for somebody that you could have for nothing? You don't have to give up anything for PierreLuc Dubois. You can have him 2 years for nothing. But that's neither here nor there. You're 2 years away from that possibly becoming a reality, which to me is set up for. I really like the way the Montreal Canadiens are being run, and I really like the way they're being built. Happy for Boston Bruins fans. You know, this is what great organizations do, right? Great organizations find a way to keep players in fold. Breaking news earlier this morning, Patrice Bergeron, the future Hall of Fame Boston Bruin, inks a one-year deal worth $2.5 million with a chance to hit $2.5 million in performance bonuses. The breakdown is this. He's going to get $1 million from the Bruins to sign, to play hockey on a contract. He's going to get a $1 million signing bonus. That brings him to $2.5 million. How does he get the next $2.5 million? The Bruins put it in their contract, play 10 games. 10 games played next season for the Bruins, that gets him $2.5 million. Mwah! Chef's kiss. What a delicious contract. What a well-run organization. This is what a smart organization does. Patrice Bergeron, no doubt, already a hero in the eyes of every Boston Bruin fan. This takes him now to godlike status, I think, in the city of Boston and for fans of that organization. And no doubt, as soon as Bergeron hangs up the skates, man, this guy goes right into the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. And that takes us to what happens next. Like, when you look at the Eastern Conference playoff picture, look at all the teams that made the playoffs last year. All 8 teams, who, by the way, all 8 teams had at least 100 points last season in the Eastern Conference. So it's the old exercise. If you're going to tell me that Boston is coming out of the playoffs, well, who's going to replace Boston? And if you're going to tell me, well, Detroit's going to make the playoffs or Ottawa's going to make the playoffs, well, then tell me, of the 8 teams last year, who's coming out? I don't see a difference. Whether it's Tampa, they're not going anywhere. Where's Toronto going? Are they going anywhere? What about Tampa Bay? What about Boston? What about Carolina? What about Washington? What about Pittsburgh? What about the New York Rangers? 8 teams, all made the playoffs, all had 100 points. Who's coming out of that world? Like, I think the New York Rangers are set up for sustained success. Carolina, I don't think they're going anywhere. Pittsburgh's all in again. Chris Letang's back. Malkin's back. Crosby's back, and you know as well as I do that the Penguins are gonna be in the midst of a playoff run. You know they're gonna go all in. Penguins don't love first-round draft picks. They trade them all away because they are in win-now mode with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang. I get it. It's fun to cheer for a franchise that can make moves like that when they have future Hall of Famers on their roster in the twilight of their respective careers. Fun to cheer for that, right? Fun to cheer for a team like the San Diego Padres, who go all in at the deadline last week for Juan Soto. Imagine your world like theirs. Imagine you who cheer for the Montreal Canadiens. Finally, you're cheering for the Montreal Canadiens, who are now in the position to go all in for all the superstars in the league. Of course, you've got to be cap compliant and all that other stuff, but nevertheless, it's fun to cheer for organizations that are structured well, have good development track records, and then have cap flexibility and can go out and make moves to keep them competitive for a chance to win, because that's what you're here for. You're here for a chance to win. And I think the Boston Bruins, with Taylor Hall and David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand, Charlie McAvoy quarterbacking the power play in Boston, yeah, they're not going away. So timing is everything in life, and I think the Canadiens and their rebuild and their restructuring, it's exceptionally well timed. So this is where we are on this 8th day of August, 2022. Lots of action happening all around me today on this cloudy, rainy, kind of cold. You know, we had a 25-degree swing in temperature from the weekend to today, where it's right now in my Shaman and Nissan Maxima. They're telling me it's 19 degrees. It feels a lot cooler than that. It feels more like 12 to 13 degrees, but I digress. More star story time coming up later this week. I've got an interesting anecdote about a former NHL goaltender, right? I love this story so much. It's a true story, but I got to be careful. I can't drop names because when I was told this story, I told my buddy who plays in the National Hockey League that you've ruined this guy for me. It's about a goaltender who makes a shit ton of money that watches every penny, like in a bad way. You know, like one of those things, like it's okay to watch your money. It's okay to be like, where's the money going? You know, you're not carte blanche spending willy-nilly 24/7, right? But there's also, like, you never want to be like, hey, Sean Starr, that guy's so cheap. You never want to hear that associated with your name. I don't think it's a good look at anywhere in any type of circle. Talking with friends or whatever. I just don't think it's a good look. I think you have to avoid earning that type of reputation, right? But this goaltender has that reputation. And it is nasty. It is what happened between him and a teammate that meant so much to him, and what happened there. I can't wait to tell you that. It's a Star story time coming up later this week on In the Car with Star. Subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. Listen, you do you. You know what? I have recommendations. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I just recommend. That's all. Take it, leave it. I'm just glad you're here. We have good numbers today. And good numbers for me is like more than 2 people. I see 6 of you are still on this thing, watching me right now. 6 of you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting. Thanks for watching. If I made sense, if I made you laugh, if it was entertaining, if I was stupid, if I made no sense, I was illogical, hit me up in the comments. I want to hear from you. Let's engage. Let's have more of a back and forth. Let's try to have more of a back and forth, all of us involved, right? So thank you for watching. I certainly appreciate it. In the Car with Star, brought to you as always by K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur, Highway 138 in Ganawagi. I love hearing from you guys. I got a message the other day. I apologize. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he's like, well, what's that depanneur you talk about on Highway 138? I said, that's K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur. It's right over the Mercier Bridge. That means you guys are paying attention, means you guys are aware, and it means the world, because if you support me, you support my sponsors, that means you support me. And that means that we can continue to do this, have some fun, share some stories. Maybe we learn something together. I don't know. But we can keep doing this together, and I appreciate that. And K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur, their gas bar is open 24/7. They have an attendant there ready to pump your gas. So on a day like today where it's rainy, it's cold, you don't want to get out of your car, you don't have to. K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur, Highway 138 in Ganawagi. And, of course, every day, freshly prepared, hot and cold meals. They got protein bowls. They got smoothie bowls. They got fresh garden-grown vegetables. It's not something they're going to a major market and buying. No, they have their own garden, like you do at home. They pick the tomatoes off the vine. They cut them up, put them in your BLT sandwich. They got hot meals. Their menu changes every day. So if you're in the area, you say, you know what, I'm tired of eating fast food in my car because you're a delivery guy, you're a truck driver, you're tired of eating garbage fast food. Maybe you're in the South Shore. Maybe you're over to Mercier Bridge, Highway 138. It's K-Stop Gas Bar. Go have lunch in the car with Star Sent You. I'm going to tell you, you're going to love it. It's going to surprise you. You know what else? Arguably, scratch that. Factually, they have the best dip-in-er snack game. Okay, so like if you're like me, like if you're going to watch CF Montreal against Inter Miami on Saturday night, I like to be surrounded by good snacks. And sometimes the snack game gets a bit played out. A bit played out, same old. K-Stop Gas Bar and Dip-in-er has unbeatable, unique snack selections. Stuff that you have at your local places, but stuff that you also will never get at your local mainstream Dip-in-er. They have it at K-Stop Gas Bar and Dip-in-er, Highway 138 in Ganawage. And of course, Ash Gregoire, Chambon and Nissan, online at chambonandnissan.com. Thank you for watching. All 6 of you are still there. And that was a very long read, but I appreciate your attention. I really do. We'll be back later. I'll have another star story time, this time about a famous NHL goaltender who is tighter than you can ever imagine.